Hello, 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 hello. I had a number of topics that I wanted to go over today, but I am now between two, and I think the second one should be later. The one that has won out is the juicy title, How to Stay Motivated, How to Stay Motivated as an INTP. And I think this is actually very important for us. And I have a number of just ideas flying around in my head, so let's try and pin them all down so we can have a little conversation and figure out what it is. I will first start out by saying that I think the most energetic INTPs and ENTPs I've seen in the world are the ones that are just all in on. Before I go there, I'm going to talk about, I think, the biggest reason. Yeah, I'm going to start with the biggest reason why you're probably not motivated. Why I'm probably not motivated, number one. Number two is the key to being motivated as an INTP. I'll just speak first, and then if I really feel like I want to have a visual aid, I'll show you. But the number one reason why you're probably not motivated, and what I've realized for myself, is because you are so afraid of pissing people off. That's pretty much it. I've come to realize that that is the number one reason. And so, if I told someone I was going to do something by some day, I absolutely feel like I have to do it by that day. Even though it's like running my hands through like glass to try and do that. Or I'm very tired, or I never wanted to do it in the first place. I just said it as a favor. If we look at the 8 functions of an INTP, what you're doing there is, I mean, I know, culturally it sounds really bad what I'm saying here. Like, yeah, basically what I'm saying here is, like, be okay with being a dick sometimes. Yeah, you said that you're going to do it tomorrow, but you're not going to do it tomorrow. You're just going to let them know, actually, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I probably need like 3 more days. And you can be honest about how many days it's going to take. And this is because I'm realizing that this is because in the long run, this is best for everyone involved. And there are many examples I can have too, but let me just start out by talking about why this is true. So if we look at our functions here, what really is just like the center, the core of our energy as INTPs is introverted thinking, our theories, like oh, I know this now, I know that. And then you establish this foundation of like how to see the world. And it's so energizing and so gratifying to realize that. And you immediately step into, usually, or I'll say I do, you step into like, oh, if that's true, then here are like 5 different other things that are probably true. Like, these are the things that the theory suggests are true about the world, and I want to find out. You extrovert intuition into that. You can hear the energy of that. You can hear like that it has nothing to do with anyone. The only way that you can like follow through on an obligation is to step into like draining functions. I generally feel like the way that you're going to do it is with extroverted feeling. You're going to be like, oh, but I have to not piss that person off, so I'm going to like just follow through on my deadline today. Or I'm I'm going to go to that meeting that I agreed to going. I mean, like, I'm just going to say that I think that if you are not motivated, then that means that you're doing this too much. I mean, sure, like there's a part inside me right now that makes me say, like, am I right? Like, is it okay to be a dick? But I think it's right there in the stack. It's right there in the stack. You are probably people pleasing too much, and it's keeping you from being authentically the mad scientist INTP. And I think that's absolutely true for me. And I think about the INTPs that people admire in the world. They're thriving. I mean, Elon Musk. I mean, you can say what you want. I'm pretty sure he's an INTP. Bill Gates. These people are accused of being dicks all the time. And that's fine. Because their natural selves as INTPs is to authentically be kids in the candy store, to be mad scientists out in the world. I don't care. Like, yeah, did I say it was that time? It's gonna be late. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun exploring, doing my experiments, and in the long run, this is good for everyone. In the long run, this allows an INTP to do what they do best, and things go way faster. I mean, I personally feel very motivated today, and I think you can hear it in my voice. You can compare that to me being like grueling INTP who just would love to like explore something, but I just have like this deadline coming up in 2 months, and I'm just out of juice, and I'm just slogging along. That is gonna be the slowest possible way. That's my theory. That person if you're a person that's like that right now, quit, or like be okay with this thing being late of 3 days, and do this. Say like, if I had nothing due, what would I do right now? And maybe you would read a book, or you would do an experiment. And my view is that because this is the authentic path, you will find far more motivation. And I mean, to continue like talking about like things that drain us, extroverted thinking. If I want to try an experiment and someone says, "Oh, hold on, why are you doing that? What outcome do you expect?" I'm gonna authentically say, "Screw you." I don't know. I want to do it because I want to do it, because it feels like no one has done that enough. That's how I can stay energized when I do it. If I instead say like, "Oh, well, I did the cost benefit analysis, and this is the outcome that we expect," then I'm just stepping into something that will not be energizing. They say, "Oh, are you thinking about your future? Like, are you worried about it?" And I say, "Nope, I'm doing this." And extrovert sensing, like, "Oh, like, did you think about what you're wearing today, or like, did you make sure that it looks nice?" No. And introverted feeling, like this is Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park. You were so busy thinking about whether you could that you never thought about whether you should. And I say, yeah, you can think about that. You can wonder, but I'm just gonna explore. And yeah, I know how this might sound. It might sound anathema. It might sound like just it goes completely against what it means to be a good and nice person. But I assert that the people that we admire the most are the people that really have gone down the path of radical authenticity. If you've ever watched Alex Hormozy on YouTube. He's an ENTJ, and he just over time has lost all of his friends, and because he said like there's a place I'm going, and it's so serious for me that I will not tolerate anyone taking me off of that path. And for an ESFJ or something, they might be offended by this and scared, but the ESFJ is so happy because they're living their authentic life. The ENTJ, this is what makes them fulfilled. This is what gives them meaning. Let them be the asshole that just like all ins on their goal. It's the most fulfilling thing they can do. And in the very same, like, okay, I mean, here's another example. An ISFP feels like they really want people to admire their art. Like I just want people to see what I see. Someone who's FE might say like, oh, you're being selfish. Someone who's TE might say, oh yeah, but where's the money in that? What are you thinking about the outcome of that? Like the ISFP can just say, hey, think what you want. This is where the meaning is. I'm going to go this direction. And it reminds me very much of Bashar's formula. I highly recommend looking at Bashar's formula, where, let's see if I can recall it, like state it from memory. Act on your highest excitement to the farthest degree that you can, with no expectation of what the outcome is. Well, you can say that statement really. Act on your highest, in any given moment, act on your highest excitement to the farthest extent you have, with no expectation of the outcome. And the way it's stated right there, I actually think that would be the most resonant sounding for people with any in their stack. So when you hear that, you might think, yeah, like, or you might be really excited by that, and you probably are an NP, right? Because like no one's telling you that. No one's telling an NP that. But I think what we see in the most like actualized NPs out there is they just eventually just give into the call and they go. I'm talking a lot about like ENFPs right now, where they just pack up their stuff and they go on a road trip. And the one that I met, like they lived on communes, and then they traveled with like an event planning company, and they eventually found themselves in tech sales. I mean, it's just once again, a TE person would be like, that's irresponsible. Are you thinking about where you're going? No, they're not. But because it is the most energetic path for them, it's going to work out well for them, because that energy is going to wake up everyone around them and everything around them. It'll create so much. Like, you can kind of feel the difference when someone is walking through life engaged and alive, or like just completely disengaged, right? So I'm talking a lot about this. I think I talked about two ideas so far. One is you are probably people pleasing too much, and the people pleasing is getting in the way of you being activated. And the second is I talked about all the different functions, and I will specifically go back to talking about like the big one that I think is like the biggest energizer. I'll say two actually. I'm going to talk about my experience recently. The two biggest energizers here, and if you allow yourself to do them, then you will find the energy to do so much, is allowing yourself to dig for the principles of what you're doing. Like really, really like, and and allowing yourself to explore with zero expectation of outcome. And the example that I've just recently experienced with this is, hold on. I talked about this book, right? Last night I powered through it. And it was full of so many ideas that I'm connecting to so many other things. I took a lot of notes, like 8 to 10 like little message notes. And it gave me something to connect to work and how I could talk about it. I talked about it last video. So I'm doing that. I'm realizing where I was being unfair. To say it again, I was expecting people to INTP with me, and they can't. And so once I can understand that, then I can get very monopolistic about my INTP, and I can just walk in and be like, all right, don't worry about INTP. I'll handle all the INTP here. And even if they don't understand the value of the INTP stuff, I'm going to do it anyways, because that's going to be like just energizing for me. It's just fascinating to me that reading a book, like there are all these things, there's all these other things viewed from a TE lens that would be more productive for me to do right now. But I really wanted to read this book. The title was exciting, and the history behind it was exciting. I wanted to read the book, and by reading the book, you can trust your NE. You're gonna make connections. You're like, even if it's something that like you think is completely like disconnected from everything you're doing, you're gonna be like, oh, that is connected to this, is connected to that, and just that process. Since that process NE is activated, you're going to be very energized, and you're going to find that flow once again to to guide everything else. And I think this process is also like energy is very emotional too. I think when someone is optimistic, they are full of much more like happy emotions, and so they just end up doing more. Yeah, I think that's also quite a universal thing to say about how to stay motivated, and I guess in a if I speak more abstractly, like how to live your purpose. I think it seems to be quite an important step to move towards it, discover the resistances around you, and do it anyways. And essentially, like for a moment, just be like, I don't care what anyone says, I'm going to do this. And I mean, like, yeah, like I understand. Like, well, yeah, and so yeah, I have a current work project I need to get done, right? But I was actually considering like just giving up on the project because I was feeling stuck, you know? And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to read this book. And the book gave me something. So that's what I want to talk about in that direction. Let's see. So I'm at after this experience, and generally after a lot of these ideas I've been sharing with you, I'm very excited to be reading these books, because it's I find extroverted intuition such an interesting function, because it's bound. It's one thing is like it's bound to happen. It's going to happen, but it's also going to happen in ways that I cannot predict. Where, for example, like let's imagine that like you really want to watch a movie. For some reason you don't know why, and it makes no sense why this movie is going to be important at all. But you watch it, and you make a connection. And that connection energizes like a different path. And yeah, it was all, as Steve Jobs said, the dots connected looking backwards. Yeah. But I think one idea I really want to point to right now is that for a lot of types, the opposite of what I'm saying here is what they should do. You know, NI types have to like just say, yeah, people are telling me all about all these different things I want to do, but I know what I want to do, so I'm going to do that. Like that's them being an asshole, right? An FE type is going to be like, yeah, I like I'm getting paid really well here. It feels like a good career, but it doesn't feel like I'm serving people the way I want, and then they quit. And like, you know, they were like the best employee at the company, and their boss is really disappointed, but they had to do it. You know, yeah, I'm making many connections. I think this is also somewhat what Paulo Coelho meant when he was writing the book The Alchemist. Let me bring up the quote for you, and I'll show it to you, and we'll see if there's anything else I want to talk about in this topic. But oh no, that's not how it goes. That's not quite what it is. I guess it is. The way I heard it is, when you decide to go to get something, then the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And spoken from an MBTI lens, this is saying, when you stop trying to listen to other people and stop trying to live in their realities and decide to live in yours, the universe was waiting for you to do it. The universe knew, and maybe like the unconscious self inside you knew, that you were not on the right path. And as soon as you align, everything starts to flow. So perhaps that's another way to say it, is like you had a kink in the garden hose of yourself, and you didn't notice. Like people were telling you were doing the right thing, but something inside you knew that you weren't. And so you turn, and the garden hose, and like you turn, and it feels like the wrong way because everyone around you disagrees, but the garden hose unkinks, and you start to flow, and the universe feels like it was just waiting for you to do that. What inspired me to talk about this today is that idea that it feels like the INTP path for this is just very crazy looking, because it's like, oh, I have all of these things I need to do. Well, yeah, do I do all those things, or do I explore that thing I've been wanting to explore? Well, the INTP path is actually, I would recommend exploring that thing you wanted to explore, because there is a reason why you wanted to explore it. And if you really don't want to do something and it's going to be late, well, chances are, no matter what, it's going to be late now, because your energy is not aligned. So let it be late and fix your energy. That's my that's the theory crafting I'm doing right now, and I'm living it. So I'm sharing it with you. And I think I'm right. And I also think that the world is full of stories of people who disappointed everyone around them, only to later have them all realize that this person was right. No one else could see. They were the only one that could see what they wanted to do. So I'm encouraged. And I would love to have the frame of this video just be a growing collection of all the experiments I'm running. Are there any experiments I can show you right now? I mean, I recorded that I read that book. I recorded Structure of Scientific Revolutions here. I'm starting to read The Magician's Way. I'm also reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. That one's short and nice, so I'm going to read that fast. But yeah, you can take a quick look over the experiments I'm running right now. I still haven't finished quantum computing, but hey, books. Truman Show is the next movie to watch. I also want to watch Tenet, so I'll watch that. One last place to visit in Korea, but that is not for fun. That's not just for fun. The main point I'm putting here is that is the lifeblood of everything I'm doing. Exploration, answering the call of curiosity is the lifeblood of everything you're doing. I assert that. And I assert that the resulting natural experience of building a new theory and pursuing what those theories mean, these are all things that will make everything else go way better than it ever has before. Because now you're here. I mean, that's the thing. If you're doing things from other functions, you are not acting in your own reality. You are just living other people's lives. And it's people like, we're still very early in this concept of authenticity and the fun and personalities. They think they're doing the right thing by insisting that you live like them, when only you can tell that doing that is killing your motivation. So that is me exploring this idea. I think one way you can really understand this is understand all the functions, and then understand your top two, and just try filtering out every other function and focus on your top two and see how that ends up making you feel. I think that's very important, because yeah, sure, understanding other functions is great, but trying to use them above your first two I don't recommend that. I've tried it. So that's that today. Peace. Next time is what was it? Next time is about energy. So stay tuned.